We must stop them. The world will follow after them. I need that book.
The new Torah movement is a threat to our agenda.
They ain't here to buy no mandingo. They here to free the people. I saw them with a Torah.
I'm gonna need that book. You hear me? Where is it?
The Torah is within you, my son, where man cannot corrupt or destroy.
A storm is coming. The earth shall be covered in fire, because the hearts of man has fallen.
I keep that Torah on me like a shooter. We pray for blessings that you want the moolah. We touch a mouth boy like a ruler. Lying in his river, they call him Judah. Raised up like short, can chain me down. I break door. The boys leave us still drooling. We woke up, ran door, pray shot, and keep moving. I keep that Torah on me like a shooter. We pray for blessings that you want the moolah. We touch a mouth boy like a ruler. Lying in his river, they call him Judah. Raised up like short, can chain me down. I break door. The boys leave us still drooling. We woke up, ran door, pray shot, and keep moving. Steady, they ready for water, they go and I got him. They got your back, how they do it. I don't say we pray the Father, he live on my water, my baby. He got him, no, they don't really want a problem. See devils on every corner. They talking about smoking, they blowing their marijuana. We slicing that pie, then I put them cherries on it. Don't be carrying home, everybody left. Everybody need heaven with hell. Let it preach, everybody need God with his kid and a brick king. I laid in my life, he did another die for the chillin'. One of hero was a villain. That's his second to the ceiling. For that spirit, take the filler. Hey, see better days coming. Try to find my will at the maze. Wanna stay with down on the low, trying to make some. See, I got the light, need to wait for. He gave me the spirit that's growing on me. Y'all breathing that spirit, he put it on me. Y'all been searching for wisdom, recording money. I keep that Torah on me like a shooter. We pray for blessings that you want the moolah. We touch a mouth boy like a ruler. Lying in his river, they call him Judah. Raised up like short, can chain me down. I break door. The boys leave us still drooling. We woke up, ran door, pray shot, and keep moving. I keep that Torah on me like a shooter. We pray for blessings that you want the moolah. We We treat my boy like a ruler. Lying in the jungle, they call him Judah. Raised up like short, can chain me down. I break through the force, even still drooling. We woke up, ran through, break shot, and keep moving. In the belly of the beast, too. Give her hand, trying to reach them. With a chain, with a beat him. Now I really don't see them. No, they really can't see me. And I really don't want to. No, they really can't beat me. Woke up more cause the light was enough. No matter genie. Them devils give up their soul for the dollars and baby they pray come feed me. It ain't never been easy. It's rough and easy. Can't give up, they told me they need me. It is supposed to be breezy. Put your life on that line like a relay. Run that bird back to him like a replay. We fuck with the spirit, do what he said. Protect my cause without my life for them 12 tries. We had hope every day. Them people tell lies. I got that truth with me. I keep them truth with me. To the 5, hallelujah. Do you hear me? I keep that Torah on me like a shooter. We pray for blessings that you want the moolah. We church my boy like a ruler. Lying in the jungle, they call him Judah. Raised up like short, can chain me down. I break through the force, even still drooling. We woke up, ran through, break shot, and keep moving. I keep that Torah on me like a shooter. We pray for blessings that you want the moolah. We church my boy like a ruler. Lying in the jungle, they call him Judah. Raised up like short, can chain me down. I break through the force, even still drooling. We woke up, ran through, break shot, and keep moving. Hallelujah. Let me give all praise to the Heavenly Father. By the power of His word, I rock. Hallelujah, family. We get into this. Give me a second to share my screen. But the question is, are you planning? Because they're preparing, family. Give me a second. 1 second, family. Okay, family. Checking my audio. Hold on 1 second.
To those in Africa, in the Middle East, in Asia, and in South America, please hear this. We were told stories. We were raised in shadows. We were born into the same machinery that took from you. We were told that you were dangerous, that you were backward, and that you needed saving. And while bombs fell on your cities, screams in our homes told us it was justice. We didn't know. Not because the truth was absent, but because the truth was buried. Layer upon layer of propaganda, schooling, news feeds, speeches, until even compassion was trained to look the other way.
See, even these people were brainwashed, family. Their minds were taken over. But those that were in high positions knew they were a part of the agenda. But those that were lower, those that were poor, the non-Israelites, many of them were brainwashed into the system to betray us.
We were not the architects. We were not the generals. We were not the corporations that carved your land and drained your rivers. But we, the ordinary people of the West, were made to believe it was for freedom, for safety, and for progress. But we see now, and we say this, it was never our will. It was never the will of the majority. We were lied to, manipulated, and enlisted in an empire without our consent. The same empire that looted your lands, looted our minds. And together, we are breaking the spell.
The objective of the grand design, the creation of a true world government with sufficient military force to compel all nations, including our own, to obey.
He saw things that others didn't see so far ahead of the rest.
The thing was that This isn't new. These things were going on in his time. He knew their agenda during his time and how it would evolve during our time.
Them, partisan politics is only a game to amuse the masses who crave the showmanship of big national conventions, the excitement of partisan campaigns, and the satisfaction of casting a vote in the illusion that somehow they're really helping to decide the important issues of the day.
Remember how I said earlier in this speech that the farmers need to give up their farms before 2030, specifically that year? Yeah, so that's not a coincidence. That year doesn't come out of nowhere.
See, many of us heard about the 2030 agenda. We need to understand that they had these agendas planned ahead of time. When they begin to see the system beginning to crumble, they had these agendas put into place, hoping they could reset the masses.
So that year is basically the deadline that our global elites have given our country and will probably give you to abide by these new regulations. And that agenda is called the 2030 agenda. And now I have a slide showing you what that entails. So the 2030 agenda is a United Nations agenda. So there we go, everybody's.
It's a United Nations agenda. America being one of the Babylonian capital cities of it, empires. They want to control every aspect of your lives.
Part of the United Nations, right? The entire world. And this agenda consists of 17 what they call sustainable development goals. And when you take a look at them right there, you're like, well, what's wrong with that? You know, they all seem very noble. No poverty, no hunger. Who could be against that? However, if we take a closer look at how they actually want to accomplish all of this, anybody with 2 functioning brain cells realizes that this cannot happen unless there is an active and maybe even forceful redistribution of goods.
When you hear about that forceful, that's why they're trying to distribute martial law, people into cities and states. They're trying to regain control because Babylon has fallen.
Foods, property, and our rights.
About a month ago on July 1st, there was an announcement that we're just going to do a practice one with one of the 5 disqualified cows. The government said, okay, whatever. They ended up going out, doing a real cow. One of the cow's name was Tikva.
So they went out doing a real cow in these rituals. We need to understand what's going on, family, behind the scenes. That a lot of people don't know these things.
It was a real offering. They did it all by the laws. And I have with me some of the ashes right here, red heifer ashes. It's pretty incredible. The red heifer, the last time that the red heifer was done was over 2,000 years ago. The first time it was done by Moses. The second time it was done by Ezra from the book in the Bible. And that shows you how long the ashes can last for. So a pure red heifer doesn't come about all the time. And in this generation, we had 21 of them. And they successfully performed the ritual about a month ago.
They performed the ritual, family, which they're not Israelites. So you need to understand what spirit they're conjuring up.
Now, in the ritual, you're supposed to have hyssop. I have also hyssop that is from the actual ritual, and also the red heifer ashes. And these get put into a clay jar and then sprinkled on people in a healing ritual. And it removes the impurity of death and allows for people to heal. So since this started, they have been sprinkling on people. There was a man with Alzheimer's.
So they've been putting spirits on people when they've been sprinkling these things on people. And they don't believe in these delusions. That's what they're speaking about, these false miracles of this world. Because they're calling on demonic spirits.
Who just started remembering everything, sight to the blind. There's some real miracles that have happened in the last month since this thing has gone down.
אנחנו הפכנו את זה, זאת אומרת העם הפך את זה, לאדם בן אדם, כמו אתה בן אדם, אתה צריך להתנהג כמו בן אדם. אבל בעיקרון זה על שם עליון. אדם זה אדם אל העליון, וכיוון שאנחנו פנים של אלוקים, אז הוא קרא לנו בני אדם. עכשיו, הגויים מה שהם, כן? אלוקים עשה אותם בשביל שיעשו פה...
So he basically saying, they're not real Jews, but he's saying they're human. And he's saying we're not human. He's saying the people that are non-Jews are not human. So pay attention, family. Because we hear rhetoric from, they say ISUPK, IUIC, and a lot of us Israelites that teach. And where's vocab alone at? Because he need to start covering these people.
בשביל לשרת את היהודים. כל הגויים שאתה רואה שיש בעולם, המיליארדים האלה, הם הכל רק בשביל שהיהודים יהיה להם איזה תועלת. אנחנו לא רואים את זה, אנחנו לא יודעים בדיוק.
They say everybody else just exists for their benefit. That's going to serve them. So when you hear these camps teach this, which we are the real Israelites, these people teach this. These people have control of the banking system, television, a lot of power in society, and they believe this. Remember, their elites know they aren't the real people, but a lot of their people in society actually believe they are Jews. And they're going to try to put forth their agenda. That's what you need to understand. They have the money, the power, and the influence. They're false prophets, liars.
היות ואנחנו בגלות, אז אוטומטי עדיין הם עוד לא משרתים אותנו לגמרי, רק חלקית.
כל אחד יהיה לו, כשמשיח יבוא, אז כל אחד יהיה לו אלפים עבדים.
They say when the Messiah comes, each one of them will have 2,800 slaves. So you hear a lot of camps, Israelites teaching about having slaves or this or that. These people are teaching they're going to have slaves. 2,800 slaves, each person. They're saying right now, oh, we serve them by building them cars, trucks.
בינתיים, המשיח לא כאן, אז איך הם משרתים אותנו?
הם בונים לנו רכבים, דירות, בניינים, הם בונים את זה. לנו. משרתים את היהודים.
אבל יש גם יהודים שעושים את זה.
A Jewish teenager from the U.S. recently traveled to Israel, and what he discovered about his ancestry challenged his long-held beliefs.
I will never forget the first time I went to Israel and I stepped off the plane, and the first thing that anyone said to me was, "Welcome home." Every single person who's Jewish that steps off the plane, especially for their first time in Israel, is told welcome home.
So to unravel the mystery behind his background, this guy takes a DNA test. And guess what? Turns out he's 88% Ashkenazi Jewish, tracing his roots all the way back to Eastern Europe. This shakes up the whole idea.
So he's Ashkenazi Jewish, but finding out they're not actually real Jews, that this is just a religion they're following. And they believe they're going to have slaves. When they talk about the camps and all this, that's why I said find vocab alone, because he goes against his camps teaching this. But these people are teaching this. And these people aren't biblical Jews.
Yeah, that being Jewish is all about Israel.
This right here, this is my actual ancestry. I am 88% Ashkenazi Jewish, and none of my ancestors are from the Middle East. The land that is called Israel now is not my home. It's not my ancestors' home.
Сегодня кому-то не нравится, что он будет в числе 2800 рабов. Тебе это не нравится? Не будешь. Тебя просто прикончат. Честь удостоится быть 2800, надо принять на себя 7. Это ни в коем случае нельзя испытывать негативных чувств к евреям.
So you hear this rhetoric among camps, but these people teach us. These people aren't even Jews, even by DNA. Remember, Jew is a new word that we weren't even called that. Yehodah. But these people teaching a similar rhetoric to what they say camps are teaching, but many of the camps, they're real Israelites. These people, their DNA shows they are not.
Никакой ненависти. Понимать, что это народ Бога, который приносит в мир добро.
We see Jeremiah 30 tells us, the word that came to Jeremiah from Yah, saying, This speaketh Yah, the father of Israel, saying, Write you all the words that I have spoken unto you in a book. For lo, the days come, says Yah, that I will bring again the captivity of my people, Yasharal, and Judah, says Yah, and I will cause them to return to the land that I gave to their fathers, and they shall possess it. So he told us he would cause us to return to our land, to remember ourselves, that he gave unto our fathers. Now, we find out these people, even by DNA, they're not biblical Jews. But they have a religion that they're going to have slaves and conquer us. The world.
Hi, Shalom, Shalom from Israel. This is Ola, the daughter of Jethro. And
see, she's a daughter of Jethro, a Midianite. She's a descendant of Abraham through Torah, the Midianites. So when Moses takes a wife, one of the daughters of Jethro, this is one of the people he's coming from. So she knows from her people's history who's connected to them.
I just heard that you black people that was stolen from Africa to America, that you don't know who you are, but you are the children of Yahweh, the children of Israel. And I'm telling you, you have to come back to your homeland, here to Zion, to Jerusalem, because us, the Gentiles, we do need you. We need you to come and pray because you are our saviors. You're the one that was chosen by.
She said we are their saviors. Because a lot of Israelites teach shall be many messiahs, many saviors. We're the ones supposed to turn this world upside down, to turn it into righteousness, bringing a righteous judgment, to deliver the people from the oppression, to bring up the poor, to raise the dead, to heal the sick, to heal the blind. This is our duty. We are chosen by Yah.
We need you to come and pray because you are our saviors. You're the one that was chosen by Yahweh to live in this land, not the Jewish people, it's you. You were stolen from Africa, they deceived you, they told you that you are slaves, but you actually the children of Israel. And it's time just to come back. Come for your people, come back for us, come back for the whole Gentiles, because only you gonna save us.
That's why we don't teach his hatred like some of the rhetoric the camps put out. Many of these non-Israelites, people connected through the descendants of Abraham, as them, Midianites, Ishmaelites, others, even children of Japhet, the ones that do suffer, they need us. They call upon us.
There's going to be
that you are slaves, but you actually the children of Israel. And it's time just to come back. Come for your people, come back for us, come back for the whole Gentiles, because only you gonna save us.
there's going to be a nuclear war where there's as part of this Gog and Magog, where in 8 minutes 2/3 of the world are going to die. 1/3 will.
So they teach crazy when they hear the Israelites teach this, right? But these people are in power. And they believe this rhetoric, and they believe they're the people. DNA shows they're not. They know they're not. The elites know they're not. The Rothschild put them into place, dealing with these big, giant industries. That's why they run a lot of things in America. And they have power. They're going to be putting forth their money into these countries to try to put forth these wars because they know that their identity is falling. They know that they have the mask is coming off. We know who they are. Children of Satan, liars, deceivers.
Remain.
Only you gonna save us.
There's going to be a nuclear war where there's as part of this Gog and Magog, where in 8 minutes 2/3 of the world are going to die. 1/3 will remain. That third that remains, some of them will survive, but needless to say, the majority that survive are going to be Gentiles.
And he's trying to say we're going to be his slaves, their slaves, which we're actually the real Israelites. So he got it twisted. But it says, "For thus says Yah, we have heard a voice of trembling, of fear, and not of peace. Ask you now and see whether a man does travail with child. Wherefore do I see every man with his hands on his loins, as the woman in travail, and all faces are turned into paleness. At last, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble." We need to understand, how long shall we go through trouble in hell? How much, and how long shall they afflict us, persecute us? It's been hundreds of years. We go through thousands of years. But in this time of prophecy. But you know what it says? But he shall be saved out of it. For it shall come to pass in that day, says Yah of hosts, that I will break his yoke from off your neck, and I will burst your bonds, and strangers shall no more serve themselves of him. See, he's breaking the chains off your minds, off your necks. We'll no longer serve these false doctrines of these nations, these devils, these deceiving powers. Other nations will fall from serving these world powers that are upon this wickedness. I will see many pulling away from America, pulling away from UN nations. Because the strangers shall no more serve themselves of him. See, that's what's going on.
The reaction, I'll concentrate on the Russian reaction. What I detect in the last few days, watching Russian state television, is a significant hardening of Moscow's position with respect to Israel. They were sitting on the fence. They didn't want to create difficulties in their relationship with Israel. That's all over. What I see now is very frank statements condemning Israeli genocide in Gaza. And of course, what happened in Doha as part of the overall picture. So in that regard, there is a change in Moscow's position vis-a-vis Israel, and the ongoing land offensive in Gaza City is part of that picture as well.
Has there been any reaction?
So they're upset with Russia about these things. They're upset with China about these things because they're against Israel committing genocide.
Action that you're able to detect to Prime Minister Netanyahu going on international television, and before Charlie Kirk's shooter was even caught or named, denying that the Israelis murdered him. Who denies that they committed a murder before they were accused of it?
Which that was quite strange, family. Peace and blessings, brother Asiatic soldier. Peace and blessings, Queen Cassandra Mensah.
How you go?
Hello.
Shabbat shalom, shalom. Peace and blessings.
So we are taking a look at that far-reaching report on European competitiveness. A year after that report came out, Mario Draghi says the bloc is falling further behind its peers.
Yeah, Mario Draghi, the former head of the European Central Bank, has warned that the EU's growth model is fading fast and sharply criticized member states for their slow response and complacency, with Donald Trump's tariffs biting and trade deficit with China.
So even countries and powers like the EU connected to America, they're beginning to fall because of these choices and decisions that were made. This kingdom is falling. Remember, Babylon is an empire.
China widening, Draghi says that every challenge he had pointed out in his report a year ago has worsened, with no clear path to financing necessary investments. Luke Traeger has more.
For Mario Draghi, the European Union's falling behind both the United States and China, and governments have failed to implement enough of the recommendations the former European Central Bank chief made a year ago.
The European Union just pulled off something nobody thought possible. They've trapped China in a position where Beijing has to choose between Russia and its war, or billion in annual trade. This comes as Poland shut down its border with Belarus indefinitely, cutting off 90% of all cargo on China's new Silk Road to Europe. Poland's Prime Minister Donald Tusk announced the closure at midnight Thursday. Very aggressive Russian-Belarusian maneuvers begin on Friday.
They went and begged China, and then China didn't want to do the things they wanted. So they were upset. So now they're trying to stop China's trade route. They want them to part away from Russia. This is another form of war and division that they've been doing for hundreds of years.
Belarus, very close to the Polish border. The Zapad 2025 military exercises involve 100,000 Russian and Belarusian troops conducting war games near EU territory. But Poland isn't just responding to military threats here. They're using their control over China's most important trade route to force Beijing into an impossible choice. The closed border handles rail freight worth 25 billion euros annually between China and Europe. These trains carry everything from electronics to machinery, taking just 2 weeks compared to 6 weeks by sea. Poland's Interior Minister Marcin Kierwiński made the stakes clear. The term of the border closure is indefinite. We will constantly analyze the situation. China's Foreign Ministry spokesperson Lin Jian tried to stay neutral. The China-Europe Railway Express is an important public good for pragmatic cooperation between China and Europe.
Sorry about that, family. My computer died. Back up. Let me check it real quick. Make sure my audio's still good. Let me get ready to shut my screen back, family. 1 second. One second, family. I'm looking for my files. 1 second. Okay, family. If y'all missed anything, family, you need to go back and watch it from the beginning and then skip this spot that y'all may have missed. But let me share my screen. I have it. Hold on.
Is indefinite. We will constantly analyze the situation. China's foreign ministry spokesperson Lin Jian tried to stay neutral. The China-Europe Railway Express is an important public good for pragmatic cooperation between China and Europe. But here's what China isn't saying publicly. Their entire Belt and Road Initiative depends on this Polish corridor for access to European markets. Without it, Chinese goods must take longer, more expensive sea routes or fly through congested air cargo networks. Every day of closure costs Chinese exporters millions in delays and extra shipping costs. Poland's foreign minister a simple message. Secure borders are required for free trade to function. The timing isn't random either. The EU needs leverage to make China pressure Russia into Ukraine peace talks.
They're trying to divide Russia and China up because they're losing power among the empire, family.
Has refused to condemn Russia's invasion for 3 years now. They've maintained their no-limits partnership while calling for dialogue without taking any real action.
African countries are rising and getting more powerful, and the Western countries that had them under their heel for so long, like the UK where I live, are on the way down and their economies are collapsing. What help do you think we're going to get from those countries that are becoming more powerful? How do you think that the Africans are going to look towards the English with regards to trade deals and buying their uranium off them if we need to? They're not going to look too kindly, are they? Especially if there's...
These people see their countries falling and failing. And this is the problem the elite don't want us to know.
Absolutely no apologies whatsoever And as far as I can tell, this country doesn't apologize for jack shit. And the reason it doesn't apologize is because if it apologized for the stuff that it's done, it'd have to start giving back all of the stuff that it's stolen. I've spent...
Which is this whole Babylonian empire. They have stolen, raped, robbed, pillaged so much that they've recognized the things they've done wrong, they must give back. Repair what they have damaged. Reparations, land.
Hours inside the British Museum. That place is an absolute... It's a treasure trove. It's incredible. And it's nearly all nicked.
Continue the fight until the entire Sahel region is recovered, and we are striving to collaborate more with all the countries that are fighting today for their economic independence, because it is a form of imperialist oppression. Those who are oppressed should unite to face this hegemony.
History is unfolding in the heart of Africa.
This is the rise, family. We all need to see our cousins, our brothers, our sisters that's been calling us home. My brother here, they've been calling us, these leaders, in unity. Calling those that wasn't taken in the slave trade, descendants of slaves, home. They want unity because there's a shift.
From Bamako to Ouagadougou, from Niamey to the villages of the Sahel, the winds of change are blowing strong. For the first time ever, 3 African nations, Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger, are preparing to formally withdraw from the International Criminal Court. Yes, you heard that right. Together as the Alliance of Sahel States, these countries are taking a bold step, a step that shakes the very foundations of the so-called global justice system.
So I guess Somalia is getting Starlink now.
And we need to understand, family, this is shaking the world. The world is confused, it's falling apart because they need us to be their good pet, their good slaves.
Which will obviously improve their internet access. And in response to this, the conservative influencer Matt Walsh said, "No, dear God, please no. How dare African people pursue economic development?" He says that he's scared this will allow Somalia to spread bad ideas to America, which will make us more shittier. As if Somalia isn't poor because they were pillaged by Western colonial powers for years, who literally split the country up into 5 different clans in order to divide the people and keep them from uniting against the Western colonizers pillaging all of their resources. And that's still essentially the case today. Why do you think Joe Biden redeployed hundreds of troops to Somalia, Mr. Walsh? Why do you think he ramped up drone strikes and bombings? Today it works a little different, but Somalia's economy is still controlled by what we would call a comprador class, a group of wealthy elites who are technically Somali but are often headquartered in places like London. And ultimately they're controlled.
The elites of these countries are ran by foreigners, controlled. But this is the collapse of the foreign rule. The power is being taken back, and they started their own internet, family. We need to understand how great this is.
Then funded by the Western banking system and act in their benefit, which is why they're also propped up by imperialist governmental institutions like USAID. And these institutions don't funnel money into things like industrialization that would improve the whole of the Somali economy. Instead, investing in things like real estate speculation, which makes money out of nothing by charging people rent and gambling with the land. The only kind of investment they receive is that which serves the elite. And maybe that's why Matt Walsh is scared of Somalia modernizing and getting the internet. Because then
they don't want their people speaking out saying things like this, family.
People will find out that the Western colonial powers have been keeping them poor for hundreds of years. And he won't get to go on saying that they're poor because of their bad ideas compared to our good ideas. We're going to read a book.
You won't believe what just happened. Africa has fully rebelled against Western tech giants. They've just launched something called the Continental Internet Exchange, and it's kind of genius. Picture this, instead of sending their data all the way to Europe or the US, it now stays inside of African borders. It's faster, cheaper, and it's safer. Suddenly Google and the West are freaking out, and I can't blame them. Here's the kicker. Basically, they made a African Union-backed digital highway. Known as data centers, local exchange points. The internet traffic stays local, meaning that it's faster and bandwidth costs are plummeting. And get this, just within 3 days of going live on September 1st, over 200 million African users switched to services riding this new network. That is an insane adoption speed. Now think about what this means.
My laptop charger keep going low, family. Give me a moment.
platforms. Google, AWS borders. It's fast.
People will.
Africa has fully rebelled against Western tech giants. They've just launched something called the Continental Internet Exchange, and it's kind of genius. Picture this, instead of sending their data all the way to Europe or the US, it now stays inside of African borders. It's faster, cheaper, and it's safer. Suddenly, Google and the West are freaking out, and I can't blame them. Here's the kicker. Basically, they made a African Union-backed digital.
Remember, Google spies on you. It watches you, collects all your data, sends it to other people. And they're going crazy because they can't keep an eye on you like they want. Watch you, watch your children. It's what they want to do. Control your life in a different way.
Low exchange points. The internet traffic stays local, meaning that it's faster and bandwidth costs are plummeting. And get this, just within 3 days of going live on September 1st, over 200 million African users switched to services riding this new network. That is an insane adoption speed. Now think about what this means for generations. Africa's been sending billions to foreign platforms, Google, AWS, Microsoft. But with this move, local developers get a real shot to build their own apps, search engines, cloud platforms, custom fit for 2,000 plus African languages and cultures. Big tech's dominance is now suddenly shaky. But you might be wondering, is this some isolationist stunt? Nope, because they still link to the global internet. But now they've got autonomy. It's about data sovereignty, not isolation. With full continental coverage aimed by 2027, the momentum is just starting. This isn't just new tech infrastructure, it's a power play. Speeding content, cutting costs, protecting privacy, empowering local talent. There's going to be challenges getting rural areas connected, dealing with the spicy politics in Africa, and coordinating all the funding. The upside is immense for everyday Africans. With a median age under 25 and a booming digital economy, this could add up to 180 billion to Africa's total GDP. That's not a small change. So yeah, Africa just pulled off a power move on a global stage.
That alone is going to shake up the economy, fam.
Staying home, innovation, the entire map of tech influence has now shifted.
We're following breaking news on Capitol Hill. The House of Representatives just passed a stopgap government funding bill that would keep the federal lights on for a little more than a month. This bill now.
While we see advancements going on over there, we see over here just more chaos. These people can't get along with each other.
Now heads to the Senate. House Speaker Mike Johnson's making clear the onus is on Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer to get the bill across the finish line.
The ball is in Chuck Schumer's court. I hope he does the right thing. I hope he does not choose to shut the government down and inflict pain unnecessarily on the American people. I hope that they will vote on this clean short-term CR so that we can continue the work to get our appropriations done.
Let's go right to NBC News Chief Capitol Hill correspondent Ryan Nobles. Ryan, break down the vote for us and what happens now.
Well, it was along party lines. I believe one Democrat voted yes. It's exactly what we expected. And the speaker is correct. This ball is now in the court of Senate Democrats. The difference between the House and the Senate is, of course, that the Senate requires 60 votes to pass this type of legislation, and there are not 60 Republicans in the Senate. And Minority Leader Chuck Schumer has made it very clear that Senate Democrats are opposed to this legislation in its form and fashion. So what's going to happen now is that within the next hour or so, the Senate is going to vote on this legislation that's already passed the House. If it gets the 60 vote threshold, a government shutdown will be averted. We'll move on to the next day. If it doesn't, which is what we anticipate right now, our Majority Leader John Thune is going to put up a separate piece of legislation offered up by Democrats, which is their own version of a continuing resolution. It would only go until the end of October, and it also includes the extension of some Affordable Care Act or Obamacare subsidies, and also the clawback of the cuts to Medicare that were in the big, beautiful bill. Now, that is also going to fail. So the question then is, what will the two sides do? Will they go into their separate corners and just kind of go into a staring contest before we get to the end of the month? Or will they get into a room and negotiate this out? The biggest complication they're dealing with here, Anna, is the fact that they are going on recess next week for the Jewish holiday. So they won't
going on recess for a Jewish holiday. So I guess the Jewish then. These guys ruling.
be here to talk to each other about the next steps. We just heard from the Majority Leader John Thune a few minutes ago after the passage of the House legislation. He basically said that if the bill does not pass the Senate here in the next hour or so, that we are very much likely to see a shutdown. So that's the state of play here on Capitol Hill.
We go to Hebrews 12:26. He tells, verse 23, to the general assembly and church of the firstborn, which are written in heaven, and to Yah, the judge of all, and to the spirits of just men made perfect, and to Yahushua, the mediator of the new covenant, and to the blood of sprinkling that speaketh better things than that of Abel. See that you refuse not him that speaketh. For if they escape not who refuses him that spake on earth, much more shall not we escape if we turn away from him that speaketh from heaven, whose voice then shook the earth. But now he hath promised, saying, yet once more I shake not the earth only, but also the heaven. So he's shaking the earth and the heavens, shaking these doctrines, these empires, these governments up. They're falling, they're failing. And this word yet once more signified the removing of those things that are shaken, and as of the things that are made, that those things which cannot be shaken may remain. Wherefore, we receiving a kingdom which cannot be moved, let us have grace whereby we may serve Yah the Father, acceptably, with reverence and godly fear. For our Yah, our Father, is a consuming fire, family. He's shaking up this world and these nations.
While you're scrolling TikTok, they're building bunkers. Not for you, not for your kids, just for them. Presidents, billionaires, military elites. Because world leaders aren't planning for peace. They're preparing to survive what comes after. Deep beneath mountains in Norway, Colorado, Switzerland, lie cities, not vaults, cities, with hospitals, power plants, farms, and space for just enough people to restart the world without you in it. In 2024 alone, 6 new bunkers were funded by governments, quietly. No media, no questions. Why now? Why the rush? While they preach diplomacy, they're issuing radiation protocols, stockpiling iodine tablets, and testing underground communications networks. It's not a conspiracy. It's contingency. And it's already happening. Because when the missiles fall, the alarms won't go off in time. And if you're not already underground, you're not part of the plan. They're ready. Are you?
That's why the empires must be shaken and crumble. That Yasharal may rise to power, family. Peace and blessings to all you that came and sing, and those in the clouds, family. Peace and blessings, Queen Cassandra Mensa. Peace and blessings to my brother Asiatic Soldier. Peace and blessings to Elder Yara, Black Sage. I probably brought some information to you, family. We're going to get deeper into biblical lessons soon, too, family. But I had a debate coming up soon, so I had to do a few other things. But I'd like to give all praise to the Heavenly Father by the power of His Word. I rock. Hallelujah, family.
We must stop them. The world will follow after them. I need that book.
The new Torah movement is a threat to our agenda.
here to buy no mandingo. They here to free the people. I saw them with a Torah.
I'm gonna need that book. You hear me? Where is it?
The Torah is within you, my son, where man cannot corrupt or destroy.
A storm is coming. The earth shall be covered in fire, because the hearts of man has fallen.